Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Now, this one's shore fishing, and I'll tell you what, it also applies to boat fishing, I think, as well, just general sea fishing. Now, when you're tying your rigs or you're reading a lot of the magazines, the rigs, they're talking about light snoods, light leaders, light links to the fish can see it, the fish can feel it. Well, do you know what, when I think you're sea fishing, those fish coming up to your boat, they've not probably been, well, they won't have been caught before. If they're caught in a commercial net or on a long line, they're on a one-way ticket to the fishmongers. At least we as anglers can have the option of putting them back. But generally, what's on the seabed that they're snuffling around? Crabs, pinchers, claws, whelks, shellfish, everything's crunchy, sharp. They're not really bothered by your fishing line. That's my opinion. I've discussed it with other people and a couple of them agree as well. So, do we really need 15 and 20 pound hook links, for delicate, tiny little fish? I don't think so. And to try and prove it, to try and dispel that myth that you actually need light line for beach fishing, this is nothing to do with casting, guys. This is the hook link. I'm going to make some rigs up. Now, two things. I don't think fish can see colour. I may be wrong. What scientific evidence do I have based on this? As a professor of nuttiness, I have no evidence other than the fact of 50 years experience. I don't think they can really see. Maybe predatory species like bass can, but for general bottom feeding fish on the seabed, I really don't think it matters. I've caught common skate on huge, thick strimmer line that's what I used to use to save by mono. Now then, I'm going to make a real basic rig up. I'm going to be using OMG yellow 80 pound line. That's right, all the way through. I'm going to be using not the standard 50, which most people use like that and then put 20 or 30 on the snooze. I'm going to be using 80 and 100 pound marlin fishing line. Now then, I know you use a shock leader for casting. Now here is what I'm talking about. To catch fish like whiting, small cod and the general run-of-the-mill UK sea fish, you don't need to belt it miles. You don't need to do long distance casting. If you do pendulum casting under maximum power, you need as many crimps in there as to keep the rig as basic as possible. Just mini crimps, not too many of them. How can I say many and mini? It's difficult on a Monday morning. Anyway, I think you can just use, for lobbing out 50 or 60 yards, which where a lot of the fish are, you just use dropper loops. People say, oh my God, he's tied a knot in his line, it will snap. Hang on guys, I'm on 80 and 100 pound mono. Trust me, go out there with the fish, you want to try and break it. So I'm going to do two rigs for you, real easy ones, and then I'm going to try and take you sea fishing and see if I have actually found a method and dispelled those myths that you need light line. I don't think so. This is what I do. Okay, so what I'm going to be tying is a straight 3-hook paternoster, right? Here's the line. It's 80 pound mono. About, if you do a good stretch, because a beach rod generally, let's say, is 12 feet long, but listen guys, with this rig, you can use freshwater gear. If you've got carp and pike gear, get some 3-ounce grip leads, you've got a good chance in calm conditions of going out and catching just as much as the guys with the big heavy beach rods. Okay, it's as easy as this. So good double span like that, I call that 6 feet. Cut that off. Ongo glasses. I'm going to be using these little lead clips at the bottom here. They're pretty handy, and idiot proof. Put the lead on, put the lead off. You might find you're going to have to really twist this quite hard because it's 80 pound mono to get your knots. I'm just going to use a blood loop at here. I'm not going to spend days doing the whole rig. I will tie a rig up and show you what it looks like. Just do the first couple of droppers. It is hard. Now, I certainly recommend doing these at home because on a cold beach, cold fingers, dark, daylight, doesn't make a difference. Now, just pull that down. You might, if you haven't got a pair of teeth, if you've got false teeth, don't do this. Pull that down. I use my teeth for everything. Snip off the tag end. That's where, here, on goes your lead. Bosh, just as easy as this, they're pretty, look how easy this is, he said, you can't get it on. Oh, turn it around the right way, Graeme. Thank you. It's my best pool table. Try again. Pop it on, it's on. So there, it's clipped on, and obviously If I'm using grip leads, you can use plain leads as well if it's not windy or there's small tides. Use any type of grip lead, and those grips, for those who don't know, snag in the sand, and then when you pull in to get a fish, they break free. So there's your lead. Now about here, I'm going to tie a blood loop. If you look into our knots section here, we've got how to tie fishing knots. There will be one on the blood loop. I'll do one quickly for you. Just roll a loop around here, get it about there. Now I also want to do it really short. Probably tie 2 in this one. The main line then goes round several times, 4 times. And I say it's not easy to tie an 80-pound mono, but it's a rig that is absolutely, I feel, the loop comes back through that hole there. I put it tight. I'll close it up. Now tie this one short just to show you how much it stands off like this, okay? That is the blood loop. People say, oh, you might break off on a pendulum cast. It's not for pendulum casting. I snip the top one. I then pull out the kinks with the heat like this, and there's my little short snood. Now I want to have it obviously about there. I've just tied that loop, so I thought in the camera frame, otherwise the loop's going to be out here, you won't see it. So that, if you can see that there, is they drop a loop. I'm going to tie another one up here, and another one up here, and at the end of that, dead easy, you just tie your barrel swivel, or indeed another one of those links if you wanted. Same procedure, barrel swivel. You can either use tuck blood or you can use an ordinary blood loop. We're just doing this one to show you. This one for guys goes to the, God, it really is pretty tough to get this through here. It works. Get yourself a long nosed pair of pliers. I'll tell you what else is handy. Obviously I don't normally take a huge pair of scissors with me. Take one of these little sets of clippers like this. They just slide out. You can snip off, and then it goes in the wife's hoover. She'll be really pleased. And I'll have to buy a new hoover belt for her. So you're going to have a swivel. Imagine it comes through your rod top, comes down here. Now some people at the end of their line, match fishing people, they'll tie one of these clips that you can see there, one of those clips. So they tie that on first, and then they can clip their rig onto that swivel like that. Okay? The reason being is mostly for match fishermen. They come on, they're in a competition, they've got a fish on there, they want to get them off like that, they dump the whole lot in a bucket, unclip this rig, there's gone, get their next rig, which is already baited up, and this does apply if you're fishing on your own as well, if you've got another rig ready made up. Look, the fish are there, you're going to release them, you've got seconds just to put this on, clipped up, walk down, fire it out, come back, take the fish out of the bucket of water, unhook them, put them back, keep them for cooking, whatever you want. So that's the rig. I'll tie these up and I'll show you the hooks I'm going to be using. Are these. Well, they're small ones. These are called a Sea Prince stainless hook, which I find very good and very strong, because even though you're using small baits, there's always a chance of a cod coming along. And I'm going to use some others here, a little bit finer for worm fishing. These are called a Nordic Bend. They're treble 47B for the technically minded, which I'm not. It's a whiting and cod hook. But there you go, they're blued ones as well. So I'm going to try 2 rigs up. I'm going to try 2 rods with clear 80 pounds and 2 rods with coloured yellow 80 pounds. We'll go fishing and we'll see which one catches the most, if any of them catch at all. And I know they will. Okay, I've made all my rigs up just to show you what they look like. Here is lead clip at the bottom, paternoster hook, paternoster hook, paternoster hook. And the other advantage of using stiff mono like this is, if you look at this one, he says sticking in his hand, look, they nearly always stand off that main line. They don't tangle, and I've tied them very, very short. That would be less than a span of your hand, so about 4 inches. And we're going to see how that one works out. I've also tied them up in yellow, can you believe it? 80 pound yellow right the way throughout. I mean, that's shocking. All those purists out there, they go, my God, he'll never catch anything with 80 pound yellow mono straight through. Well, it remains to be seen. Now, that's just for ordinary casting out. If you do want to make these rigs up and you're doing pendulum casting, you want the minimum number of knots when you're pendulum casting, is more power. But as I say, it's nothing to do with distance, this type of fishing. This is just to get the ordinary guy out there fishing and catching some fish. Okay, so you've got your rigs like this, standing off with your lead at the bottom. It's exactly the same. Instead of using the blood loops, you use 2 crimps either side, 2 beads, locking a swivel in the middle. Lead at the bottom, rod line at the top, and then if I turn it on its side, you should be able to see that. Your hook link is tied on the end of the swivel there. Comes off from the swivel. Hopefully you can see that. And that's a sort of standard way of doing it. I suppose a lot of rigs is crimping them nowadays, and that can spin around totally. It's sort of tangle free. I think it comes from the match fishing section really, but it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Well, a little bit more time consuming, more expensive, more beads, more crimps. Get yourself a proper crimping tool as well. You want cup to cup crimps in there, cup to cup, not cup to point. Cup to point will pinch the mono and will weaken it. So there you go. Only one thing to do, add water. Let's get down the beach and see if any fish are biting on 80-pound mono. Okay, well I'm down here on Hayling Beach on the south coast of England. Used to fish here when I was a kid. Obviously the fishing was much better then than it is now. It's not the world's greatest big fish mark, but there's always something here. It's easy access, it's lovely pleasant fishing, and I get to see the sun go down. I am, as we speak, the only angler on the entire beach for about 3 miles, which is nice. Now, just a little tip here, where to set up base camp, because I know the weather's going to come in here. You can obviously look for the tide, the high tide line, and if it's a growing tide, it's getting bigger each day by about 40 minutes to an hour, you'll see a line of weed. Now, there's a big line of weed up there, but the secondary line is here. I think that one up there is a spring tide one. I think that's the last spring tide, and I think last night's tide is about where I've got my bag, just down here. So I want to set up my I'm not going to call it my bivvy, my little shelter, beach shelter, because I'm away from the groins this time. I want to be in the middle, in between 2 groins. In case the tide pulls, I don't want to lose any gear, you know, into the groins. I've already thrown the rods out, just briefly get the bait in the water quickly. But if you look at some of the beaches, you'll see a sort of curve in and out of shingle. Now, when you get a storm surge come up, that accentuates that. And then, basically, what you can do, if you set your stall up behind that high water line, or where you think it is, because you don't want to keep moving your gear, behind the high water line, but on the point, as it were, of one of those shingle banks where it curves in, it's always going to surge up higher. Whereas here, just in front of me, it's going to sort of kill that surge off a little bit, and you might not get your gear wet. So, it's on with the dead polecat, squirrel, whatever it is. It's got to be done because it's freezing, just above freezing anyway. Rods are out, and I think I'll get my shelter put up. Oh, that's better out of the wind, guys. I'll tell you what, I never used to have one of these things. I just had an umbrella. They're a bit of a pain in the backside to put up, especially on a windy day. But man, they get you out the wind, big time. So I've got my camera all set up here. I've got my bait there. I've got my tackle here. Food, that can go inside. We don't eat much when I'm fishing. If it's really freezing and you've got your bait just outside like this, might pay you to put it inside, because worms will freeze if they're live and you're fishing below below freezing temperatures. The most I've fished in was 11 degrees below once down at Eastbourne on the beach there, and the worms froze to the beach through the paper. That was cold. Plus I caught some small codling up there as well, so that made up for it. Now what I do now, just so you know, the rods are fired out. The first cast is what I do, just the way I fish. I'm going to give it at least half an hour out there, unless I see a bite. If I don't see a bite, it stays there for half an hour. If I wind in and the baits have been crabbed or stripped, bait up, throw out again, give it 25 minutes. Cut it down, give it 20 minutes until you come in with a little bit of bait on. Otherwise, you're sitting out there with a bare hook, and I've done that many times, which is why I'm passing you that tip on now. Check half an hour maximum. Obviously, the longer you leave it, if you come in and the bait's still on the hook, you can leave it out there for 45 minutes. Sometimes I've left it out there for an hour or more, in the hope that the smell from those worms and squid and crab, whatever I'm using for bait, percolates along the seabed and is carried down on that tidal current. So who knows? Let's just sit and see what comes in the next half hour. A fish or bare hooks with crabs. I think it's going to be the crabs until it gets dusk. So what I'm doing is I'm fishing two different distances. I've got small hooks, very, very small baits, closer in, a little bit further on, not long distance at all, just a good throw out, 80 yards, something like that, with my other baits out there. And I've balanced it between the two. So in other words, I've got slightly bigger hooks and slightly smaller hooks on both setups, and just see whether it does make any difference. The yellow leader or the clear, both of which, don't forget, is 80-pound mono straight through. My personal opinion is that sun's starting to go down now, it's just dropping. There's a weather front coming in, hopefully it's not going to rain. Once that cloud just drops into that base cloud at the bottom, I think fish will come on the bite. It's low water at the moment, not a great time to fish anyway. If you think I'm staying at home, think again. I might as well be here, mightn't I? Oh guys, I hope you saw that bite on there. I wasn't exactly sure whether that's crabs or not. It's not hammering, but it just looked like too big a pull for a crab. I've had just over that half an hour, so I think I'm going to wheel in. There's obviously something on the hook because it wouldn't be pulling on the line, and that's on braid, so that tells me every little bite transmitted from the other end from here, even if it is a crab. I think I'll wheel it in. This one's on a bomb. I haven't gone to grip leads yet. Okay, here's what I mean about checking the bait after half an hour. That was bites. That was black, frozen black lug and squid is tougher, and that's been nibbled away. They've nibbled the soft bait off, but they can't nibble the squid away, which is why I tip it with squid. Bit of weed out there going along. There's a bit of worm left over, so there's nothing wrong with that bait, and there's nothing wrong with this. Now it could have been crabs, or it could have been small fish nibbling away. A really gunky, soggy bit of lugworm there, and I'm going to re-hook that squid, get it on to make it a little bit bigger, coddy size sort of bait there. This one can go out as it is. Now I'm not clipping up these, this is just for ordinary anglers just want to go fishing. That one, the worm's gone. I think I'll get another black lug, thread it up there, tip it with that squid, fire it out, and I've got a plain bomb. So you don't need, you're not fishing at distance, you're just giving it a good throw out, so you don't need to clip the baits up or anything like that. So the wind's coming up a bit. Not a bad thing in itself. I'd sooner have that in a glassy calm. So I'm going to pop the squid off. This is a frozen black lug. You can see it there. Thawed out, 2 days old in the fridge. Not fresh, but you know, hey ho. It's going to have some juice in it, so you've got to thread that all the way up. It's a gunky, yucky, horrible bait. Make a big gobful, pop it over the knot there. Well, I've also left a tag in there. If you can see there, just at the top, that's a sort of worm holder as well. Here comes a big digger, he's putting his digger away, the man's fed up playing with his digger all day. And then on goes that squid, which sort of helps hold the worm on, but if anything does chew the worm off, as you saw, it's still got a little bit of squid, still got a little bit of bait there. Let's get it back out there because I've got high hopes. I've just brought a couple of them in for a recast. They have been attacked, the worms are stripped, little bits of squid are left on there. Come out of there. But you may just notice, as I've wormed them in, this is just literally as I got them out, they're not tangled. None of those snoods are tangled. So it shows you that 80 pounds, and possibly even 60, has a snood length, and that's the clear one. Obviously you can see the yellow a lot easier. There's the clear one. Exactly the same, tangle free. Going to bait up, get it out there again. We're getting near the witching hour. The sun has just dropped into those clouds. Can you hear that noise, guys? Can you hear that noise? Dinner bell. What colour is this? Still on the clear. Every rig standing off, all the other hooks. Oh, I said that one just hooked on. It just fell over itself there. But there you go. You can't say it doesn't work. 80-pound mono straight through to the frying pan. Come on guys, look, 2 at a time. I'm only trying to cook the first 2 and I'm still getting fish come up like this. Double shots, untangled, both clear, double shots, 80-pound yellow mono all the way through. Okay guys, I'm going to do this quite quickly for you. Piece of pallet, what I'm using to get my fish. I'm going to cut the head off like this. I'm going to take the guts out. This is how complicated it is. Won't get any fresher than this. Out come the guts. They'll all go back in for recycling. Split the backbone there. That's it, get that juice out, any blood in there. That basically, hit the tail off, basically it's ungoverned by the size of my piece of silver foil. And you can see they're going to wash those off and wrap them in the silver foil. You notice the fire's going down in embers. This is when you want to cook fish. I'm going to put them in this, seal them up, fold the ends over, straight on the fire, probably no more than about 6 or 7 minutes.
Like I used to be, talk about things, talk about my mind. Now I'm free from the words that I left behind. I gotta jump for joy and shout aloud and make a sound. Oh, the world can stop me now, no. And on the music I will ride on the beat, play my guitar.
Well there you go. Not only do I show you how to catch the fish, I show you how to cook it as well. Absolutely piping hot on that lovely fire. Just break it up with a fork. You won't get any better. It was caught like 15 minutes ago. Try that again, Graeme. Look at that steaming. You'd think steaming would have told me something, wouldn't you? Oh man. Oh. No butter, no lemon. No bones yet. That's a lovely light flaky meat. You won't get any better than that. I'll tell you what guys, you won't get any cooking better than that either. Not mind all about the... Ow! Now it's dripping on me. You won't get any better than that on those chefing programs. This is survival fishing. This will keep you alive. If you had some of my wife's sandwiches, you know what I'm talking about. Mango and cheese. I mean, have you ever heard of it? Oh God. It's another bite. Well, I'll eat this quickly and choke on a bone. Well, there you go, guys. I can't stop catching. Almost cooking them over the fire live now. Thanks for watching the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. I hope there's a few tips for you there. Not only just on catching them, but also cooking them over a great fire like this. And I'll probably get fits watching this light go off. So I've turned it off now. So that's nice big white, and that one up there is a big one. Small one. They're both going back. I can't eat anymore. Let the fire burn down. If you do have a fire on the beach, wherever it's allowed, make sure you put it out, cover it with stones, and just be careful. It's common sense. A great session fishing for me.
Take it up, take it over, take get out of control tonight.